Hi guys,
Hi.
welcome to our channel. We're really overwhelmed with the response we received to a post that we put in an online Filipinos Facebook group, just offering to help with CV and cover letter. And we thought the best way that we could help you guys was to put together a video that would be able to assist you with that.
That's right. We are really passionate about helping Filipinos become successful online.
So babe, why would they listen to us?
Well, the main reason is because we have you, a native speaker who has experience working with Filipinos online and hiring Filipinos online. You work for a global company and also you run a successful online business. So your inputs are really going to be valuable for us.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, I could definitely give some advice on what happens from the hiring side of things, which is probably quite useful. But I think it's equally as useful to talk about you and the way that you transitioned from a BPO based job into an online freelance job yourself. So that would be something that I think they would really get value out of hearing.
Okay, well, certainly. So let's start with our video. Now, so tell us, if I say I already have a profile, right? And I found a job that I wanted to apply for.
Sure.
And so where do I start? Like, what happens next?
Okay, so why don't we just head over to Upwork and we'll pull up a job and we'll run through that together.
Cool.
Okay guys, so I'm over here in Upwork and I've just done a search for a job and the search that I've done is over here as a virtual assistant in the real estate market. The reason I've done this search is because there's often a lot of jobs that are advertised for VAs in the real estate space. So it's a good example to give you guys a bit of an idea. I'm going to select this first job here just because it's the first one in the list. And we'll have a bit of a read and I'll highlight some things in the job description that you will need to take note of. So the first thing to take note of is the fact that this particular employer needs to hire 3 freelancers. So the advantage here is that you'll have a good chance at being successful, given that there are 3 roles to fill and not just one. So it's always helpful when they're hiring more than one person. And we need to read the description carefully. So here, so the description basically says they've got a virtual assistant company specializing in real estate and real estate outsourcing. They are looking here for someone who has experience working as a VA. And in particular, a real estate VA. So whilst you don't need to have that experience, it will be highly regarded and give you some advantage for this particular role. So they're specifically interested in people who can speak English, which is a quite common requirement for these kinds of roles. So just because English might be a second language, that's okay. It's not necessarily a barrier to getting this role. They are advertising for a VA after all. But it's important here, they will be requiring you not just to do the administration-based tasks, but to perform some voice tasks and talking to customers, most likely. So you'll need to be comfortable to be able to have the conversation with people in English. This job application is also asking you to cite your relevant past experience. So thinking about some jobs that you've had in the past and how that might be relevant to this particular role. So if you have not had real estate VA experience, that's okay. But we'll need to look at how we can link your past work experience into the requirements of this role. Okay, it's also asking you to outline why you're the best candidate for the job. So that's also an important thing to keep in mind. But I will now draw your attention because a lot of people stop reading here and that's a big mistake to make. So if we scroll down, so there's often things like a secret word or a request from an employer for you to start your application with a certain word or a certain sentence. In this case, we don't see anything like that here, which is okay. But we do see 2 specific questions that this employer is asking you to answer down the bottom. So we need to make sure that we answer the questions the potential employer is asking us to do. If you submit an application and fail to address these things, it is likely that the employer will just disregard your application. So guys, remember that applying for the job, in particular with this cover letter, is your chance. It's your chance to stand out. They would look at the cover letter before they look at somebody's CV. So if your cover letter does not stand out and doesn't address the things that they've asked you to look at, it's very likely that they won't even look at your CV. So it's important we get this right. Okay, so here we're being asked to discuss a past project or job that has had the most experience. They're going to give you the most benefit to be able to perform this job. And also to highlight what schedule of work you prefer. So that's, I guess, a bit of a personal preference. Just highlighting if there are particular hours that you would not be available to work or certain shifts you would not be available to work. You need to disclose that to the employer now. Okay, and so what I'm going to do now, now that we've read through this job description, I'm going to craft a bit of a summary and give you guys an example of how you might respond to a job like this on Upwork. So I'll just bring this Word document over to the side and we'll write, and I'll describe to you what I'm writing as we go along so you can follow. So the first thing is I will just address it accordingly. So dear hiring manager, okay, don't underestimate this. I've seen lots of cover letters that have been sent through saying hi, good day, or something random. I mean, this is a job that you're applying for, and while it's really important to be fun and be able to convey your experience, you're competing against a whole heap of people. So if you're unsure about how to start, please just do something that's professional at the very beginning. It's the safest way to address the cover letter. If you know the person's name, you can call them Mr. X or Mrs. X. If you know the name, that's also okay. But to be safe here, we don't have that information, so I'm just going to address the application to dear hiring manager. And then the first thing I'll just highlight that I'm basically wanting to apply for the role. So you don't have to word this the same way, but this will give you an idea. So I'll just write, please accept this application for the position of virtual assistant, real estate virtual assistant. Okay, guys, just reading back to them the title of the job. So I've shown that I've looked at it in detail and I know what it's called. Advertised on Upwork. Okay, so a simple opening sentence would be perfectly fine. Then I usually like to highlight to people the fact that I've got some skills, but I want to say that in a certain way. So here I'll just write something like, during my employment, I have gained a significant amount of skills that complement what you are looking for in this role. Okay. Oh. Okay, guys, another error here. So as you're going through, guys, it's important to make sure that the English and punctuation is correct, which is okay. So as you're typing, you're going to make some mistakes, but please, before you submit your application, just double check and make sure, excuse me, that everything is the way that it's supposed to be in terms of the grammar and spelling. Okay, so the next part I like to do is highlight the particular skills that you've obtained in the job that you've got and just list those out for the potential employer. So I might write something like, in particular, I have undertaken the following tasks. All right, so I'm just going to highlight the things that I've done in this role that would be applicable to what they're looking for. So guys, don't list a whole heap of things here just based on your work experience. We're really looking to just highlight the key things that are going to be something that an employer advertising this role would want to look for. It's a customer facing role, so it makes sense that we highlight the customer experience that we've been able to gain in this role. So I might write something like delivery of outstanding phone-based customer service. Okay, this is important because they've highlighted that there will be a significant amount of the job or an important part of the job that will be voice-based tasks. So demonstrating that you've had that experience on the phone would be important to highlight. Some other elements of customer experience that you might have gained might be, so if we say customer support via email and web chat, if you've done that, definitely list that here. So they'll be looking for different modes of customer experience. So in this role, you might be required to respond to customer emails. So it would be good to be able to highlight that as well. Okay, now next we want to sort of highlight that we've had other office administration experience. So to articulate that in words, we might write something like various office-based administration tasks, and then just give some demonstration about what we're talking about here. So for this example, I might say I've done things like invoicing, scheduling, and spreadsheet work. Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay. And another thing we might look at from a customer experience perspective would be conflict resolution in a customer service setting. And what we're talking about here is, every customer that you deal with won't necessarily be a happy one. So it's being able to show that you've dealt with difficult customers before, and you're okay to do that. Okay. Next, I might put a bit of a blurb in there about the English language, and I've pre-written some things here just to save some time, and we'll go through that. So I've written things like, fix this one up here. I've written things like, I have a good command of the English language and understand the importance of this for your particular role. So again, we know it's an important part, so let's highlight the fact that we have that experience. Then we want to talk about things that you've done in your previous role, because the question just down below here talked about, what past project or job that you've had that is most like this role. And so we would say something like, in my previous role as a customer service officer or a virtual assistant, whatever role you've had, you need to try to relate that to this job now. You can tell them that you have worked independently. You deliver work efficiently, so that's important for a hiring manager to know that you're not going to take 2 days to do a task that can be done in 2 hours, and you ensure that the brand of the company is well protected by delivering on promises. So this is important. So a hiring manager will want to know that you are interested in protecting the brand of that company, not just getting a job and doing some tasks. They would probably prefer to give a role to somebody who really appreciates and understands the fact that this is a company that they've built, as opposed to somebody just doing a job. So it's good to highlight things like that. Then we can move on to some specific examples. So I was required to manage customer inquiries, deliver a high standard of work, as well as complete the necessary administrative records. Now you can elaborate a little bit here. If there are some specific examples you can give, that's great. If not, it's okay to keep it generic, but just showing, I guess, the wide range of things that you do in that job is good. So we don't want to take up too much room giving this this description, but we do want to highlight the key points. And then we want to just round that one out by saying that you believe these skills will be complementary to the requirements of the role. So I believe what I have, the skills that I have, are going to suit the things that you're looking for in an employee. Then we need to move on a little bit and talk about you as a person. So an example of this could be something like, again, just check your spelling. I am passionate about delivering a memorable customer service experience with every contact and would be pleased to demonstrate my abilities in a phone call with you at a time convenient for you. So again, you don't need to write this exact thing. What you do need to demonstrate though is that you are passionate about providing customer service, and you need to make that believable to the employer. And there's no better way than to make an employer understand that by offering to jump on the phone call and be able to display that, so you can give that employer an idea of how you will perform on the phone the moment that they call you. Their interaction with you will be just as important as your interaction with their customers. So it will be important to give a really positive experience, and display that you're confident in being able to do that as well. Okay, so the last thing that we'll need to address is the preference of scheduled work. So we were asked to comment on this. So it was, again, the second question here, what schedule of work would you prefer? So it's important that we let the employer know that in their consideration. So we've just crafted something here to say, in regards to my preference of scheduled work, I believe in being a team contributor, which means supporting the business where the need is most. I'm available to work in accordance with your scheduled requirements relative to your time zone. So a lot of roles that you guys would apply for, have US, Canadian, UK based time zones in which you'll have to operate. So it's important here that you need to be able to uh, convey to the employer that you're okay with those time differences. And if you're not okay, guys, if there's some time that you are unable to work, this is the place where you need to let the employer know, right? We need to be upfront and honest and not waste potential employers' time by letting them know. But having said that, if you don't have a full-time job and you're looking for one, and this is the one that you're going to dedicate yourself to, it's important that you let the employer know that, look, it doesn't matter to me the time zone or the shift work. I want to work for you. I'm happy to work for you. So we need to articulate that, and that's what this paragraph says. So again, don't copy this word for word. It's just a bit of an idea of what you might like to write to be able to show an employer that you're okay with the time zones, if you are, guys. So don't tell them if you're not. You need to be honest here. So I've just rounded this one out by saying, priding myself on being a reliable employee, this role would be regarded as my only full-time role, and as such, I would dedicate all my efforts to this in complete commitment. So I guess from a hirer's point of view, so from a hiring employer, one thing that I look for is, or think about, is how many jobs does this freelancer have? Because quite often, a freelancer might be juggling 2 or 3 jobs. And as an employer, I've got some question marks about how committed they might be to my particular business. So I want to hire somebody who I know can be committed to my business. Now, if you have another job, it's okay. And so again, that's when you might mention you don't need to mention you've got another job, but you might say something about your availability in terms of shift work so that that doesn't overlap. So you're not taking on 2 jobs at once and you can't deliver on what this employer is asking for. Again, though, if this is your only role, it's important that you highlight that to the employer. You're dedicated 100%. This will be your only full-time role, and you're going to dedicate all of your efforts to this. So again, it's really important to be transparent and upfront, but at the same time, you need to try to sell yourself here. So this cover letter is your first and sometimes your only application, your way to reach the employer and give them a bit of a reflection on who you are. So it's important you guys get this right. It's really important. I can't stress that enough. Okay, so to finish this off, and guys, I've seen some pretty terrible closes to some of these letters, like cheerio or catch you later. Those sorts of things are not a good way to end a cover letter in any respect, right? So there might be some employers, maybe 1 out of 10 employers might feel like that's okay. For me as a hiring manager, if somebody does that, I feel like they're not taking this application serious enough. So we don't need to be overly formal with these applications, but we should not be relaxed either, overly relaxed. So I would just write something like, I look forward to your response in due course. So you're looking forward to a response, kind regards or best wishes, however you want to end it is okay. Again, doesn't have to be formal, doesn't have to be yours sincerely or anything like that. This is an Upwork application, not a corporate world application. So it's okay to be semi-formal here. And then just signing your name at the end. So again, guys, we've gone through here a bit of an example of how you might craft a cover letter. So I hope that really sort of highlights the need to be quite particular in terms of how we address what the employer is asking here, and not sort of do a bit of a generic application to say, you feel like you're a great fit, and you can't wait to work for them and you're happy to jump on the phone. If you haven't highlighted any of your skills or how this is relevant for their role, your chances of getting contacted or for them to go through your CV significantly reduce. So again, we don't want to say anything in these letters that are not true, but if you have the experience, you need to highlight it. You need to address and relate that back to what they're asking here. So again, the description was very short. Our application letter is not overly long, but it's quite detailed, and it covers a fair bit of what this employer or potential employer is asking for.
So hopefully you guys found that really useful and you're well on your way to getting an interview on Upwork. Please don't forget to subscribe so that you're notified of our next video when it comes out. So this was video part A, which dealt with the cover letters. And in our next video, we'll run through CVs and resumes, which we're sure will assist you. And if we've helped you out in any way, please feel free to put some comments below. We're really keen to hear from any of you if we've helped you and hear your stories.
Right, and so please head on to our Facebook page that we've created for you. We'll be posting a lot of information and resources so that we can continue helping Filipino freelancers.
And until next time, paalam.
Paalam.